Meanwhile, another Fox News alert for you. The Fed's blowing the lid off yet another UN scandal today, and this time your security could be at risk. Laura Ingalls in New York with the very latest. Hey, Laura.
Hey, Neil. Well, the United Nations employee that we're talking about here is accused of using UN letterhead to request illegal immigrants be allowed entry to the United States to attend conferences that they either had no intention of attending or didn't exist at all. The U.S. Attorney's Office unsealing charges today against UN employee Vyacheslav Manikin and two other men involved in the scheme to help illegals slide into the country using false documents. Vladimir Derivancio and Kamilzan Tursanov are also accused in the plot to get illegal immigrants U.S. entry visas. Now, Derivancio and Manikin were both arrested today. Tursanov has been in custody on other charges since July 25th.
This, again, may simply be the tip of the iceberg. Very important to bring this out, and I think this is a significant development and a very positive sign to show the problems that still very much remain at the United Nations.
Manikin, who works as a Russian translator in the UN document department, allegedly created a fake name of a senior manager who then signed off on visa requests. Now, the phone number given for follow-up on those forms was Manikin's direct line. And Manikin and Derivancio are scheduled to appear anytime now in federal court here in New York. Officials tell Fox News they have been concerned for a while about the way these types of visas are handed out and that tighter controls need to be put in place. UN officials say that Manikin has not yet been suspended. Neil?
All right, Laura, thank you very much. Well, my next guest says it is high time the U.S. kicks the UN out right now. He's radio talk show host and relatively shy guy, Neal Boortz. He's author of, among other bestsellers, Somebody's Gotta Say It. So, Neil, enough is enough.
Amen. Amen to that. What a lot of people don't realize, Neil, is that from the very beginning, from 1945 on, the United Nations was always structured to put the United States at a disadvantage. For instance, the Soviet Union gets 3 votes in the General Assembly. We get 1. They get 3 judges on the World Court. We get 1. It has been basically anti-American in its structure and its outlook since the word go.
All right, so how would you change it?
Well, I wouldn't change it. I don't think we can. I think the United States ought to serve notice that on a date certain, we're going to withdraw and we're going to form a new international gathering club, whatever, and it is going to be based on this: membership limited to countries with freely elected governments that recognize a certain set of human rights for all of their citizens and do not use aggression against other countries. Set up our own of like-minded countries like the United States, and then let the UN go off and wallow in its third world culture as long as it wants to.
Well, let me ask you, Neil, I mean, if you have a case of Hugo Chavez originally popularly elected, there's some dispute in the last election whether that was fair or indeed democratic, but what if you have folks who are popularly elected and they turn out to be less than democratic leaders?
I understand, but then there's the second part of my requirement, like a little talk show host is supposed to be setting up a new international organization. Not only a freely elected government, and that doesn't mean that Jimmy Carter said it was cool, okay, because that doesn't count with me, but also a government that recognizes a basic set of human rights for all of its citizens and all people that live within its borders. Hugo Chavez comes nowhere near that, though Sean Penn might disagree.
Yes, indeed. Let me get a sense, though, where we go with this, because there's already this rap against the United States that we're thought ill of in the rest of the world. So whether you get an international body along your lines or the UN's lines, will it really change the dynamics, or should we really care?
Well, I mean, what are the dynamics now? They're anti-American. What has the United States or the United Nations ever done of any positive nature for this country? Has it stopped a war anywhere? Has it presented a war anywhere? The United States needs to recognize through inclusion in a new organization those countries that are more like us and exclude those countries like Hugo Chavez, like Mugabe, like many of these third world nations. Isn't it outrageous that Mugabe's Zimbabwe has the same vote that the United States does in the General Assembly of the United Nations? That doesn't work for me, Neil.
Very good point. And you said Mugabe's Zimbabwe perfectly. But
I did, didn't I?
I do.
Hey,
Neil,
it used to be Rhodesia.
That's true. That I couldn't have not have handled. Thank you, Neil, very much.